South Carolina is traveling to Neyland Stadium Saturday. They will experience dark mode in Knoxville, but they're going to be without some of their key players. Let's get into it. Welcome, one and all, to another episode of DDS Sports Talk. It is dark mode for all you Tennessee Volunteer fans here. South Carolina is coming to Neyland Stadium, as I mentioned. Newberry, it is. Let's just go ahead and get it out there. We had been mentioning that there's going to be a game at some point this year where Tennessee is either going to decide they're going to be a good team this year and they're going to go on and have a great year, or they're going to start maybe showing some cracks and maybe start to slide and not have such a great year. Could that be this game? I think, in my opinion, I think so. One way or the other.
What's interesting is some would argue that the Florida game was that pivotal moment, but what UT doesn't need to do is compounding damage.
Yeah,
they need to put it into this whole Florida. Get past that. You got to take care of business against a team that, quite frankly, embarrassed your ass last year.
No, I mean, there's no doubt about it. And the problem for Tennessee is their defense is not playing well in the secondary, as usual, right? We expected them to be a little bit better, and I'm not so sure that they might not be a little bit worse this year. Spencer Rattler is playing at a very high level. His completion percentage right now is pretty damn impressive. But the problem is, and I think I'm correct, fact check me down there in the comments, I believe they've given up the most sacks of any team South Carolina has in the SEC this year. And guess who leads the SEC in sacks? The Tennessee Vols.
I was about to guess.
The Tennessee Vols. So,
how many did they get against Florida?
Not enough. Not enough. I mean, that's the thing, though. You mentioned the Florida game. I don't think the Florida game was really on anybody's radar for Tennessee to lose this year.
I know, but is Florida better than South Carolina? We said in our SEC East predictions, we didn't think so.
Well, I mean, the question is Florida better than Tennessee? And I don't think the answer is yes to that either.
I'm just saying,
but the point is that's always a spot where Tennessee messes up, and this is just another thing with Tennessee of playing down to the level of their competition. And last year, this was the slip-up game for them. Spencer Rattler came out and just waxed that ass. Up and down.
He waxed it to the tune of 30 of 37 passing, 438 yards,
right?
6 touchdowns and no picks.
Yeah. I mean, it was something else.
What a nightmare, man.
Well, it was. And not to mention, that was the game that Hendon Hooker went down with the injury, with the ACL injury. It was the game that, quite honestly, probably cost Tennessee a playoff spot, a college football playoff spot.
Hendon Hooker was hanging in there before he got injured.
He was,
247, 3 touchdowns. I mean, they were slinging around.
I don't think that we really thought that we were all the way out of the game as long as we had Hendon Hooker in the game. Now, fast forward to this year, we're talking Joe Milton. Brad, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Joe Milton's performance this year and how you think it's kind of led to where they are right now. Or has it?
So I argue that Joe Milton is the least of their worries right now, from my point of view. I saw a lot of things on both lines, which are not the sexy positions, believe me, they're not. But they're important nonetheless. The offensive line, you got to have the people to pass pro. You got to have the people to run block. On defensive line, you got to get that penetration, man. You can't let Florida little guy ETN run around for 200 yards. It's just
poor tackling. Yeah.
Can't do it. And, everyone's expecting the pass, right here in this game against South Carolina. But as soon as if they start to establish a run, that could spell bad news with play action, because then your linebackers start cheating up to try to help.
Yeah.
So don't let them establish a running game, for goodness sakes. Make them one-dimensional like we think they're going to be, and give yourself a fighter's chance right here.
Yeah, I mean, if Tennessee can produce on the defensive front like they have for the most part done this year, if they can get after Spencer Rattler, maybe he throws it up and maybe it gives the secondary a chance for a turnover or an interception or something like that. I don't know. He's kind of protected the ball pretty well this year. The problem is, though, for them is they have, what is it? They have 3 starting offensive linemen that are out for the season.
Yeah, take advantage.
I mean, very thin at the offensive line positions. And South Carolina's got Juice Wells out for this game, their big wide receiver. It's really just a matter of Joe Milton has to take that step forward. If Tennessee is going to have a good year this year, this is the game. I mean, because it's not getting any easier. It's not getting any easier.
Heard the same thing against Florida. He has to take a step forward, and okay, so he maybe he didn't take the step forward, but I'm still not blaming that game on Joe Milton.
No, I don't think so. Well, let me
look. He's just not good enough to carry the team on his back by himself. He is
I would agree with
player amongst what should be a team as a whole, a collection of young men.
But I think what I'm trying to express is Joe Milton can't shrink in this game. I don't think Joe's done anything in particularly bad this year to cause them to be where they're at right now. It's amazing they're 3-1 and we're talking like this, but I don't think Joe has done anything particularly bad. But I think
tell us, you people.
Yeah,
has he done anything good? Has he done anything wrong, bad?
Yeah, I mean, well, that is the thing is everybody expects him to be Hendon Hooker. He's not Hendon Hooker.
No, he won't be.
But the key, like I said, he can't come back. He can't play down to his competition. He has whatever his level is that he's going to play at that is productive for this team. He has to stay there. And I'm not saying he has to go throw for 350 or 400, but if he can throw for 250 and 70% completion rate and protect the ball, maybe have some yards with his legs, that'd be great. Now I know there were some concerns after this last game about his knee because he got kind of wrapped up with his leg tucked up under him. I think that Joe really wants to prove something, but again, I agree with you, Newberry. He's not the kind of player who's going to put a team on his back. But I think the scheming part of this has to be part of it. Josh Heupel has mentioned in a lot of his press that he's done, a lot of the interviews that he's done, he's alluded to the fact that he can't do much because of the lack of blocking, the lack of time that Joe Milton really has.
So talking about those lines again.
Yeah. And I mean,
the non-sexy positions. Now,
again, Cooper Mays, our starting center, has not started. He has not taken one snap.
I didn't see him.
Supposedly, we've been hearing this every single game this year, but supposedly maybe he's might play. I don't think he was listed as a starter on the depth chart that was released, but maybe he's available. I don't know. But I mean, regardless, somebody's got to step up on the offensive line and take charge and get everybody in position. Don't get these pre-snap penalties. We got to protect. We got to run block. I mean, this is a Tennessee team that's amongst the top in the SEC in rushing offense. So they just got to be able to execute their game plan in all facets. And it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a raucous crowd like you see in the background. It's going to be dark mode in Neyland Stadium. In Kentucky found out last year how crazy it could get. The nightmare at Neyland is a real thing.
Last year.
It really was. You guys need to go back and check that one out. I'll tag it in the video here up above there and go check that one out. That was a fun one, being able to I think we had a hype video there for Nightmare at Neyland. It was a fun one.
So from the outside, as I'm the outsider here, not the UT fan, but 2 questions. One, having an SEC loss, SEC East loss,
Mhm.
even at that. If Coach Heupel thought that Nico could do more, he would have already made the change, right?
Totally
So
agree.
I think all of the UT ball fans, they're like, hey, we need to. It seems to me, because I trust Coach, it seems to me that look, Joe's just better right now, man.
Yeah, he's
your
just
best
not ready
option.
yet.
He's your best option.
I completely agree. All of
They
this
would have already
Nico
changed.
talk. I want Nico to be great, but the fact of the matter is everything that I understand, everything that I hear people say, is there is a clear distinction between the level of play and understanding of the offense between Joe Milton and Nico. So everybody
just put
needs to
that to
cool.
rest.
They need to cool their jets right now.
Put
I
that
know
to
they're talking about saying Nico's not going to redshirt. Look here, we'll decide that after the year, after the end of the year. If Joe goes out and plays a full year, we'll have that conversation with Nico afterwards. But going into this game, I think Tennessee's favored 13.5, I think was the last I saw. I mean, with all the injuries on South Carolina, and I guess that's what's driving that. I don't know that I see it being that crazy of a game. Maybe it will be. I know Shane Beamer has been kind of doing his little Butch Jones talk about how he wants to play in Neyland Stadium and all that stuff. So I think he's going to get the full experience for sure.
Bring it. I was going to ask you with my second question, in the potential that this might be a higher scoring game.
Yeah.
A true college football game, maybe.
Yep.
30 to in the 30s, both teams scoring. Who is that one player that you could see when this smoke just settles? And I'm predicting UT to win the game. I don't know if they'll cover the spread, but when UT, I believe, wins, who is that key player? Who is going to be the one that you're like, yep, without this person's productivity, UT would have been in trouble?
Well, I think
which one is it?
I think that is going to be a combination of actually three players.
Oh,
I think that it is going to be the running unit, the running back unit for the Tennessee Volunteers. Look, this is whether anybody wants to admit it or not. This is a run first offense. We have to be successful at running the game and running the ball. And usually that is a big part of our game is running. They have to be able to do that well, and they can't get away from it. And that tends to be what they try to do sometimes. But if we can't establish the run, if we can't get the big boys out there pushing people around, we're going to have a problem. And I think that a lot of it is going to be on the playmakers in the backfield and with the running backs. That's me.
I can see it. I can see it because I think the key is, I said it earlier, you've got to make this team, South Carolina, you got to make them one-dimensional as much as you can. They ran for over 160 yards against UT last year. I was shocked to see that.
Yeah. Because that was the one thing that we thought we did well on defense, right?
But stuff them, man, and make him throw it 50 times, and you're going to get some picks. But then South Carolina's probably thinking the same thing.
Absolutely.
If we can make UT one-dimensional, make Joe throw it to the moon and back, we'll get some picks. So it's very, very close, very similar. 13-point spread.
I think
that's attributed to you, the fans, right there. You're going to have that place rocking because there's some home field advantage built into that.
I don't know that in college a 2-touchdown spread is as significant as it is in the NFL.
It's really not.
Because these offenses are just so crazy with how they do things. And look, let's just call it what it is. There are some players out there on the field on defense that will never play in the NFL. They won't even sniff the field. They won't even let them in the room at the draft. So they're going to be blown coverages all the time. And, so, I mean, my thing is this 13.5, if you're viewing it the same as like a 13.5 in the NFL, which hardly you ever see, I think this is more like maybe a 6.5 in the NFL, maybe even less, maybe a 3.5.
I mean, if UT does what they're supposed to do right here, they're going to give up some points, but I could see it being 38-24. Give me the Vols in the -13.
I'm going to go 38-31, and I'm going to say I'm saying South Carolina covers.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we both think the Vols should win.
Yeah.
You're at home, dark mode, a little revenge factor here. Do it. Get him. Don't let the quarterback get 6 more touchdowns and no more picks. I mean, that's silliness right there.
Yep, that is right, guys. Go ahead before you leave down there, hit the like and subscribe button. Share this with all your friends. Go ahead and leave your comments down there. What do you think the score is going to be of the South Carolina-Tennessee game? Dark mode is engaged. All I have to say here in closing is go Big Orange.